season twice.
He did great.
He did great, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Well, I'm going to give the mic over to him. You guys have fun.
Yeah, Paul, do you want to? I'll take this. Okay. Sit down. You're too tall.
Oh, you're not wearing your platform shoes, so.
Good to see you again. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Paul.
Now, you are wearing those shoes. Those are your custom Pumas, right?
Yeah, there's two styles. There's these, and then there's like multiple kind of fur print. So
Those are awesome.
thank you. Sold out.
Yeah.
Sold out. But they're manufacturing more, and I think they come out at the end of the month.
Gotta get a pair.
Thank you.
Now, when we did the Q&A about 2 years ago, we went real in depth on a lot of stuff, but something has changed since then. Kiss is calling it a day. You're going on the end of the road tour. How long have you guys been contemplating this now?
Tony Franklin back there.
Tony.
Hey, Tony. Everything at some point, is finite. Things need to change or end, and if we were just wearing jeans and Pumas, we could play into our 80s. I mean, if we were just playing rock and roll music like a lot of bands do. But when you're carrying around 30 or 40 pounds of gear and you're running around and you want to make sure that your stomach's not hanging over your tights, you just start to realize that you have two choices. You can either end a tour and just never go back out, or you can take a victory lap.
Sure.
And at this point, we want to go one more time, and we really have the most amazing show we've ever done, and scrapped everything we had from before, put this together, and we'll go out and basically play every country and every city, and say thanks and enjoy it.
Now, one thing a lot of bands that are retiring right now are doing is saying, we're done touring, but we'll still do one-off shows from time to time. Is that the case here?
I have no idea.
No, so it could be.
Yeah, we're at the beginning of this.
Right.
This tour is looming, and what we'll do afterwards, we'll see. But we're going to spend the next probably 2 or 3 years hitting everywhere around the world.
Do you think we could possibly see any past members get up to jam with you guys for a song on stage?
Anything's possible.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I've learned, never to say never.
Right.
So it's really a celebration of the band and not any particular lineup. It's a celebration of what we've managed to do with, this amazing army of ours. So excluding somebody, I don't believe that would happen.
I'd love to see like Bruce Kulick get up and do something with you.
So would he.
Yeah. Now, one of the ideas that's been thrown around is, and we talked about this when I interviewed you 2 years ago, is Kiss continuing on without you and Gene. Now that we're actually kind of maybe at that point a couple years down the road, is that still a possibility?
Yeah, why not? There are a lot of places we play. We were in Portugal and Spain. We were doing anywhere from 20 to 50,000 people, and people come to see Kiss.
Right.
They come to see that connection between the band and the fans, and what they expect from us, and what we try to deliver. And I don't think that's exclusive to anybody in particular, including me.
So do you think you would start auditioning people after this tour? How would that work?
I have no idea. You're talking concept.
know.
We're just, it's a hypothetical at this point. We're just
Right.
saying, is it possible? Sure. How would we do it? Clueless.
Sure. I want to shift gears a little bit because in addition to being a rock star, you are also a father. You have 4 kids. We all know and love Evan here. 3 of your kids.
Awesome. My boy. There he is. I want to be like him when I grow up, I swear.
Now, you have 3 kids that are rather young. How do you go about balancing being a superstar and being a parent? That's got to be real tough, I'd imagine.
I don't think so.
No?
I think your first priority has to be your children.
Right.
There's nothing more important than your family, and everything else has to find its way around that. When you're younger and you don't have kids and you don't have family, your band or your music or whatever you pursue is your life. The beauty about having children, hopefully, is that you step out of the center. Everybody believes the world revolves around them, but once you have children, I think if you approach it with the right spirit, you move out and give them the center. So what do? I drive my kids to school. I drive them to soccer games and whatever else is going on. I think that is really grounding. The rest of it is, quite honestly, it's transient. It doesn't last forever. And the reason you see some bands that are always on tour is because they really don't have a life.
Right.
They have nothing when they go home. They live to be on stage because that's where they get the approval that's lacking from inside them. I feel pretty good about me, so I can go home.
Now, are the younger kids fully aware of how big Kiss actually is?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you grow up in something. Yeah, it's pretty normal in their lives, but they're real aware of it. I'll tell you a great story about Evan. When Evan was younger, he was. Oh, you're still young. When Evan was younger, we went to Disney World with someone who was piloting our plane at the time, and his son came along, and they had just finished being out on tour with another big American band. And the kid, who was very young, said, "Oh, we just came back from being with Aerosmith." And Evan goes, "Who's Aerosmith?" And he goes, the guy goes, "Aerosmith is the greatest band in rock and roll." And Evan goes, "My dad's in the greatest band in rock and roll." But how's that possible?
You guys actually took Evan and his former band out on tour with you guys. That must have been really amazing to see your son out there opening for you guys.
Look, I don't want to be corny, but to see your children doing anything, part of why we're here on Earth, I think, is to produce children who are better than us, go further than us, and make the world better than we did. So that's real gratifying to me. And the cool thing about Evan, even though he's in the room, what I love about him is he doesn't have any sense of entitlement. He doesn't expect anything, doesn't want anything, and he works for everything he has. So
we love Evan. One more question about the parenting side of things, because it's an interesting subject of how, the whole balance. So you say, you drive the younger kids to soccer practice, to school and everything. What's the interaction like with other parents? I mean, sometimes if you're sitting at a soccer...
They worship me.
Yeah, right. That's what I imagine. That is what I'd imagine.
No. I try to surround myself with people who treat me like one of them,
Sure.
And I am one of them.
Right.
It's jolting when people put me in a different category. What I tried to do even in Face the Music, in my first book and my second book, which is coming out, which is unbelievable that I even have a second book, but I want to break down all that bullshit, because I think it's unhealthy for people to believe that people who are successful or people in positions of fame are any better or have less problems.
Right.
We all have the same problems, and the more I can knock that down and let people know how much we're alike, I think it's much healthier. It makes people feel more than who they may think they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like to surround myself with people who tell me how great I am. I'd rather be around people who tell me when I'm an asshole.
Now, do you think Kiss will put out any new music before this tour is over?
No.
No?
I don't think so. Why? Look, it's a different time now, and no matter, I could write Let It Be, and people would still say, that's great, now play Detroit Rock City. So, and I understand it, because when songs have a history with you, they're kind of like a snapshot of a time in your life. And that's not something that anything can take the place of overnight. It's interesting that I think Modern Day Delilah or Hell or Hallelujah are as good as anything we did, But I understand that people are more connected to those old classic songs. I understand it. Look, if you put on a live video concert of any band, if you put on McCartney, if you put on the Stones, and you turn off the volume, I will tell you every time they're playing a new song, because the audience sits down. You know, it's always interesting that people say, when are you going to turn out new material? But when those acts or any classic act turns out new material, people tolerate it. They're asking you to do it, and they're asking you to produce it, but at the same time, they really don't want it. So at some point I go, really, what's the point? So unless it's something that's fulfilling for me, to go back in the studio just to record new Kiss material, I think everything we've done so far speaks volumes, and it's enough of a legacy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now I want to real quick ask you about your partner Gene, because Gene is a guy that I saw something like that coming. Gene's never really a guy to shy away from controversy. I mean, you know, everyone knows he got banned from Fox News not too long ago. When he does stuff like that, in a sense, you guys are always representing Kiss. Do you have to sit down with him and tell him, Gene, you can't do that stuff?
That doesn't work. Look, Gene is, sometimes I think of him kind of like a dog or a cat that sees a shiny object, and just, you know, when there's a camera around or a microphone, Gene, he revels in that, he basks in that. Do I agree with everything he says? No. Am I pleased with everything he does? No. But honestly, he's my brother. You know, we started out when we were living in our parents' houses, and we created something together, and he is family. His family's my family.
Sure. He's been doing the Gene Simmons Vault thing, which you went and played with him, as have many other current and past members of Kiss. Vinnie Vincent kind of resurfaced this year, and he tried to go ahead and get a band going called Vinnie Vincent's Kiss. He can't do that, right?
No, he can't.
No, so we squashed that, right?
We did.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna ask you one last question, and then I'm gonna open it up for everybody. Life after Kiss, what do you think your main focus is going to be? Are you going to be solo music, painting? Have you thought about it?
Solo music, painting, all of the. I'm not a believer in bucket lists. You know, people have these bucket lists and they cross things off. If you're really living your life, every time you cross something off, something else should come along.
Sure.
So, what am I going to do? Everything. We should all be doing everything. And we shouldn't know what that is going to be until we get there.
So
I sound like Yoda.
But are you looking forward to life after touring?
I don't know that it'll be any different than what I'm doing now. Kiss is in my life is forever. I see that as my band,
Sure.
and I hope everyone else in the band sees it as theirs. But I'm not divorcing myself from everything we've built, and there's more to build on it. So whether I tour with Kiss or whether I go out and play music or do something else, next week I'm on the East Coast for art shows. There's always things going on.
Right. Well, we got to go in and start jamming. It's that time, so let's give a round of applause for Paul.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.